Introduction. The man who thought his way into partnership with Thomas Edison. Truly, thoughts are things. They become powerful things when they are mixed with definite purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for the translation into riches or other material objects. A little more than 30 years ago, Edwin C. Barnes discovered how true it is that people really do think and grow rich. His discovery did not come about suddenly, it came little by little, beginning with a burning desire to become a business partner of the great Thomas Edison. One of the chief characteristics of Barnes' desire was that it was definite. He wanted to work with Edison, not for him. Pay close attention to how he went about translating his desire into reality. And you will have a better understanding of the 13 principles that lead to riches. When this desire or impulse of thought first flashed into his mind, he was in no position to act on it. Two obstacles stood in his way. He did not know Mr. Edison, and he did not have enough money to pay his railroad fare to Orange, New Jersey. These obstacles would have discouraged most people, but his was no ordinary desire. He was so determined to find a way to carry out his desire that he finally decided to travel by blind baggage rather than be defeated. To the uninitiated, this means that he went to East Orange on a freight train. He presented himself at Mr. Edison's laboratory and announced he had come to go into business with the investor. In speaking of this first meeting between Barnes and Edison years later, Mr. Edison said, "He stood there before me, looking like an ordinary beggar. But there was something in the expression of his face which conveyed the impression that he was determined to get what he had come after. I had learned from years of experience that when someone really desires a thing so deeply that he is willing to stake his entire future on a single turn of the wheel in order to get it, he is sure to win. I gave him the opportunity he asked for, because I saw he had made up his mind to try until he succeeded. Subsequent events prove that no mistake was made. The words young Barnes spoke were far less important than what he was thinking. Edison himself said so. It could not have been the young man's appearance that got him his start in the Edison office, for that was definitely against him. It was what he thought that counted. If the significance of this statement could be conveyed to every person who reads it, there would be no need for the rest of the book. Barnes did not get his partnership with Edison on his first interview. He did get a chance to work in the Edison offices at the very nominal wage, doing work that was unimportant to Edison but very important to Barnes because it gave him an opportunity to display his merchandise where his intended partner could see it. Months went by, nothing happened to realize the goal that Barnes had set up in his mind as his definite major purpose. But something important was happening in Barnes's mind. He was constantly intensifying his desire to become Edison's business partner. Psychologists have correctly observed that when someone truly wants to see something, they see it, even if it doesn't appear to be there. Barnes was ready for a partnership with Edison. More important, he was determined to remain ready until he got what he wanted. He did not say to himself, well, what's the use? I guess I'll change my mind and try for a sales job, he said. I came here to go into business with Edison, and I'll reach my goal even if it takes the rest of my life. And he meant it. What a different story most people would have to tell if only they would adopt a definite purpose and stand by that purpose until it became an all-consuming obsession. Maybe young Barnes did not know it at the time, but his bulldog determination, his persistence in standing behind a single desire, was destined to mow down all opposition and bring him the opportunity he was seeking. When the opportunity came, it appeared in a different form and from a different direction than he had expected. That is one of the tricks of opportunity. It has a sly habit of slipping in by the back door, and often it comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat. This is one reason many people fail to recognize opportunities. Mr. Edison had just perfected a new device, known at the time as the Edison dictating machine, now the Ediphone. His salespeople were not enthusiastic over the machine and were not convinced it would sell, or that it would be hard to sell. Barnes saw his opportunity. He had crawled in quietly, hidden in a strange new machine. It had crawled in quietly, hidden in a strange new machine that interested no one but Barnes and the inventor. Barnes knew he could sell the Edison dictating machine. He suggested this to Edison and promptly got his chance. He did sell the machine. In fact, he sold it so successfully that Edison gave him a contract to distribute and market it all over the nation. Out of that business association grew the slogan "Made by Edison and installed by Barnes." The partnership worked for decades. Out of it, Barnes made himself wealthy, but also did something infinitely greater. He proved that you really can think and grow rich. How much actual cash that desire of Barnes has been worth to him, I have no way of knowing. It has likely brought him several $1,000,000, but the amount, whatever may be, is insignificant when compared with the greater asset he acquired in the form of definite knowledge that an intangible impulse of thought can be transformed into its physical counterpart by applying known principles. Barnes literally thought himself into a partnership with the great Edison. He thought himself into fortune. He had nothing to start with except the capacity to know what he wanted and the determination to stand by that desire until he realized it. He had no money to begin with. He had very little education, and he had no influence. But he did have initiative, faith, and the will to win. With these intangible forces, he made himself number one with the greatest inventor who ever lived.